The mining station on Lumenos had been abandoned for 3 years, but Nora Blackwell still came here to think. At 19, she was the youngest xenobiology student ever accepted into the Terran Research Institute, yet she felt more at home among the glowing crystal formations than in any lecture hall back on Earth. Today felt different, though. The usual hum of the crystal caves seemed muted, replaced by something that made her heart race with anticipation. Nora adjusted her field scanner and pushed deeper into the luminescent tunnels, her boots crunching on the scattered gem fragments that carpeted the floor. The caves of Lumenos were famous throughout the galaxy for their healing properties. The indigenous crystals pulsed with an energy that could mend broken bones and cure diseases that stumped even the most advanced medical technology. But the mining companies had stripped most of the valuable deposits before the planet was declared a protected zone. As Nora rounded a corner into a chamber she had never explored before, her breath caught in her throat. There, curled against the far wall like a broken angel, lay the most beautiful creature she had ever seen. The being was humanoid, but ethereal, with skin that seemed to shimmer between silver and pearl. Gossamer wings, translucent as morning mist, lay crumpled and torn against its back. Long hair the color of starlight spilled across the crystal floor, and even from a distance, Nora could see the rise and fall of labored breathing. She had read about the seraphim in classified reports. An ancient race of beings who lived in the deep space between stars. They were said to be creatures of pure energy who rarely took physical form. The military classified them as potentially hostile, though no human had ever actually encountered one. Until now. Nora's training told her to contact the authorities immediately, but something deeper, more primal, held her back. The creature looked so young, so fragile. Its breathing was shallow and irregular, and she could see wounds along its arms and chest that leaked a substance that looked like liquid moonlight. Against every protocol she had ever learned, Nora dropped her scanner and approached slowly. The seraphim's eyes fluttered open as she drew near, revealing irises the color of distant nebulae. For a moment, they simply stared at each other across the impossible gulf between their species. When the creature tried to speak, only a whisper emerged, like wind through cosmic dust. But somehow, impossibly, Nora understood. "Please," the seraphim whispered, "do not let them find me." Nora's heart clenched with sudden, fierce protectiveness. She knelt beside the wounded being, close enough now to see that it was female, close enough to feel the otherworldly warmth that radiated from her skin. "What happened to you?" Nora asked softly. The seraphim's eyes filled with tears that sparkled like captured starlight. "My people are dying. A plague spreads through our realm, turning light into darkness. I came seeking the healing crystals of this world, but the journey nearly killed me." Nora looked around the chamber with new eyes. This particular cave glowed brighter than the others, the crystals here pulsing with a steady, peaceful rhythm. Somehow, this dying alien had found her way to the most potent healing site on the entire planet. "My name is Nora," she said, surprising herself with how easily the words came. "What should I call you?" A faint smile crossed the seraphim's luminous features. "I am Kithara, daughter of the void, singer of the star songs that guide lost souls, home." Even in her weakened state, there was something regal about her, something that made Nora feel like she was in the presence of royalty from a fairy tale. But fairy tales were just stories, and this was real. This beautiful, impossible being was real, and she was dying. Nora shrugged out of her jacket and gently placed it over Kithara's shivering form. The seraphim's skin was fever-hot, but she seemed to take comfort from the simple gesture of kindness. "The crystals," Kithara whispered. "If I could touch them, absorb their energy directly, perhaps I could heal enough to return home." Nora looked at the chamber walls, where the largest crystals grew like frozen lightning. Some were easily within reach, but the most powerful formations hung from the ceiling, 20 feet above their heads. "I can help you," Nora said, the words tumbling out before she could think about the consequences. "I have climbing equipment in my pack and portable scanners that can amplify the crystal resonance." Kythera's eyes widened with hope and something else, something that made Nora's pulse quicken. "You would do this for me? But we are strangers, different species. Your kind and mine have never." "Your kind and mine have never had the chance to be friends," Nora finished firmly. "But that doesn't mean we can't start now. Over the next several hours." Nora worked tirelessly to help Kythera absorb the healing energy she needed. She climbed the chamber walls to place her scanners near the most potent crystal clusters, then used her equipment to focus their power down to where the injured seraphim lay. As the healing energy flowed through her, Kythera began to glow with an inner light that was breathtaking to behold. Her wounds slowly closed, and her breathing became deeper and more regular. But more than that, something was growing between them with each passing moment. Every time their hands touched as Nora adjusted the equipment, electric sparks seemed to dance across their skin. When Kythera looked at her with those incredible nebula eyes, Nora felt like she was falling through space and time. "I have never felt anything like this," Kythera admitted as the sun began to set outside the cave, casting rainbow shadows through the crystal formations. "Among my people, we share thoughts and emotions as easily as breath, but with you, the connection feels different, deeper." Nora's cheeks flushed pink. "I feel it too, like we were meant to find each other." As night fell over Luminos, Kythera was strong enough to sit up, though her wings were still too damaged for flight. She reached out and took Nora's hand, intertwining their fingers in a gesture that felt both innocent and profound. "Thank you," Kythera said, her voice now clear as crystal chimes. "You have given me hope when I had none." Nora squeezed her hand, gently. "This is just the beginning." Neither of them noticed the small surveillance drone that had been watching from the shadows, or the way it silently transmitted their location back to the military base orbiting high above the planet. Their love story was about to become much more complicated. The morning light filtering through the crystal cave revealed the full extent of what Nora had gotten herself into. Kythera looked even more ethereal in the dawn glow, her silver skin catching the light like polished metal, her damaged wings slowly beginning to shimmer with renewed life force. But their peaceful moment shattered when Nora's communication device crackled to life. "Nora Blackwell, this is Dr. James Morrison. Report your location immediately. We've detected unauthorized energy signatures in your sector." Nora's blood ran cold. Dr. Morrison had been her mentor at the Research Institute, the man who had believed in her when others thought she was too young for fieldwork. But she also knew his views on alien contact were strictly by the book. "Hide," she whispered urgently to Kythera, who was already moving deeper into the shadows of the cave. "Dr. Morrison," Nora replied into her comm device, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm conducting routine crystal analysis in the eastern caverns. Nothing unusual to report." There was a long pause before Morrison's voice came back, colder now. "Nora, I've known you for 3 years. Don't lie to me. There's a military transport heading to your coordinates as we speak. Whatever you found down there, you need to step away from it now." Nora's heart hammered against her ribs. "I don't understand what you mean." Satellite surveillance picked up an unidentified energy signature entering your cave system yesterday evening. The readings match known seraphim biopatterns. These beings are considered extremely dangerous, Nora. If you've made contact, you could be compromised. Before Nora could respond, a new sound echoed through the cave system. Not the mechanical whir of human aircraft, but something else entirely. a haunting melody that seemed to resonate through the crystals themselves, making them pulse in harmony. Kithara's head snapped up, her eyes wide with a mixture of joy and terror. "My brother," she whispered. "Zephyr has come looking for me." The song grew louder, and suddenly the cave was filled with an otherworldly presence. A figure materialized at the entrance, tall and imposing, with wings that spanned nearly the entire chamber. Unlike Kithara's delicate features, this seraphim radiated power and barely contained fury. Zephyr's eyes blazed like twin suns as he took in the scene before him. His sister, weakened and vulnerable, sitting beside a human who clutched alien technology. To him, it must have looked like captivity. "Sister!" he called out in a voice like rolling thunder. "What has this creature done to you?" Kithara struggled to her feet, placing herself between Nora and her brother's wrath. "Zephyr, stop! She saved my life. Without her help, I would have died in this cave." But Zephyr's attention had already shifted to the approaching sound of human aircraft. His expression hardened into something terrifying. "Humans! They come with weapons and cages, just as the warnings told us they would." Nora stepped forward, her scientific mind racing. She had read the classified reports about seraphim abilities. In their energy form, they could destroy entire starships with focused thought. If Zephyr decided the humans were a threat, "Please," Nora said, her voice surprisingly steady. "Listen to me. Not all humans are the same, just like not all seraphim are the same. Your sister and I, we've found something beautiful together. Don't let fear destroy it." Zephyr's luminous gaze fixed on her, and Nora felt the weight of his psychic presence pressing against her mind. But instead of the crushing force she expected, she sensed something else. Curiosity. And beneath that, a deep well of pain that mirrored what she had seen in Kithara's eyes. "You speak of beauty," Zephyr said slowly, "but my people are dying. The plague that consumes our realm grows stronger every day. I came to bring Kithara home before she too succumbs to the darkness." Kithara moved to stand beside Nora, and when their hands touched, both women began to glow with a soft, harmonious light. The effect was visible even to Zephyr, whose hostile expression flickered with wonder. "The connection between us," Kithara explained to her brother. "It's unlike anything in our histories. When we touch, when we're close, the healing power of the crystals amplifies through both our life forces. I think this human bond might be the key to saving our people." The sound of approaching aircraft grew louder, and Nora's comm device erupted with urgent chatter. Dr. Morrison's voice cut through the noise, tight with authority and concern. "Nora, step away from the hostile entities immediately. That's a direct order from the Institute and the Colonial Defense Force." Zephyr's wings spread wide, energy crackling between his fingers. "Hostile entities," he repeated with bitter amusement. "They name us monsters while they come armed for war." "They're afraid," Nora said quickly. "Humans always fear what they don't understand. But some of us are trying to learn, trying to be better." She looked up at Kithara, whose hand was still warm in hers. "Stay with me, please. Let me show them that we can coexist, that love can bridge any gap between species." Kithara's eyes filled with liquid starlight. "My people need the healing power we've discovered together, but if I stay, I put you in danger from your own kind. And if you leave," Nora replied softly, "you'll never know what we could have built together." The first military transport appeared at the cave entrance, weapons trained inward. Through her comm device, Nora could hear Dr. Morrison coordinating with the strike team. "Non-lethal suppression only," Morrison was saying. "We need the specimens, alive for study. And someone get me a containment field around that student before she's completely compromised." Zephyr snarled, power building around him like a small star preparing to go nova. But Kithara placed a restraining hand on his arm. "Brother, if you fight them now, you prove their fears correct. Give me time to show them another way." "Time is what we don't have," Zephyr replied grimly. "The plague spreads further every day we delay. Our people cannot wait for human prejudices to evolve." Nora's mind raced through possibilities, scenarios, desperate hopes. Then suddenly, an idea struck her. "The quantum resonance data from our healing sessions," she said to Cathara. "It's all recorded in my scanners. If we could transmit that information to your homeworld, could your scientists replicate the process using their own technology?" Cathara's eyes widened with possibility. "The harmonic frequencies, yes. If they could synthesize artificial crystals based on your readings, create healing chambers that mimic what we've accomplished here. It could save our entire species," Zephyr finished, his hostility transforming into desperate hope. The military. Teams were moving into the cave now, their energy weapons charging with high-pitched whines. Dr. Morrison's voice echoed off the crystal walls as he called for Nora's immediate extraction. "I won't leave you," Nora said fiercely to Cathara. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." Cathara smiled, and for a moment her entire being blazed with light so beautiful it brought tears to Nora's eyes. "Then let us give them a demonstration of what love can accomplish." She raised her voice, calling out to the approaching soldiers in perfect, unaccented English. "We surrender ourselves to your protection and offer our knowledge freely in the service of peace between our peoples." The cave fell silent, except for the gentle humming of the crystals and the thundering of Nora's heart. Everything they had, built together, everything they hoped to become, hung in the balance of what happened next. Dr. Morrison stepped into view, his weathered face creased with worry and wonder in equal measure. Behind him, a dozen soldiers kept their weapons trained on the seraphim, but none fired. "Nora," Morrison said quietly, "I hope you know what you're doing." Nora squeezed Cathara's hand and felt the answering pulse of alien warmth. "I'm learning what it means to love someone from another world," she replied, "and I think that's the most important discovery any scientist could make." 3 weeks later, the research station orbiting Lumenos had been transformed into something unprecedented in human history. What had begun as a military containment facility had evolved into the galaxy's first interspecies scientific collaboration, with Nora and Cathara at its heart. Captain Helena Cross paced the observation deck, her steel-gray uniform crisp, despite the long hours she had been monitoring the project. As the Colonial Defense Force's leading expert on alien threats, she had arrived expecting to oversee the interrogation of dangerous prisoners. Instead, she found herself witnessing something that challenged everything she thought she knew about the universe. Through the reinforced viewport, she watched Nora and Cathara working side by side in the main laboratory. The human woman's dark hair contrasted sharply with the seraphim's starlight locks as they bent over a complex array of crystal formations and quantum scanners. Every few minutes, they would touch hands or shoulders, and the entire crystal matrix would pulse with brilliant, harmonious light. "The energy output is still increasing," Dr. Morrison reported, consulting his tablet with barely concealed amazement. "Whatever phenomenon they're generating together, it's beyond our current understanding of physics." Captain Cross frowned. 3 weeks of observation had shown her nothing that suggested the seraphim posed a military threat. If anything, they seemed almost pacifist in nature, despite their obvious technological superiority. But her orders from Earth Command were clear. Assess the aliens' capabilities and determine whether humanity needed to prepare for war. "Any word from the Seraphim homeworld?" she asked. "Zephyr maintains regular communication with their ruling council," Morrison replied. "According to him, the healing frequencies we've developed here are already being implemented on a massive scale. The plague that was killing their people is in full retreat." Cross watched as Cathara demonstrated something to Nora, her luminous fingers tracing patterns in the air that left trails of glowing energy. When Nora attempted to replicate the gesture, Her human hands sparked with borrowed starlight. The sight was both beautiful and deeply unsettling to Cross's military mind. "Captain," came a voice from behind her. She turned to see Lieutenant Commander Torres approaching with a grim expression. "We just received priority transmission from Earth Command. They're sending the Dreadnought Retribution with orders to secure all alien assets for immediate transport to the research facilities on Mars." Cross felt her stomach drop. The research facilities on Mars were notorious throughout the fleet for their unethical experiments on captured alien specimens. If Earth Command got their hands on Kythera and Zephyr. "When do they arrive?" she asked. 18 hours. Cross looked back at the laboratory, where Nora was now laughing at something Kythera had said, their joined hands creating a cascade of rainbow light that danced across the crystal formations. 3 weeks ago, she would have seen only a compromised human scientist and a potentially dangerous alien. Now she saw something else entirely. She saw love. Real, genuine, universe-changing love. "Torres," she said quietly, "prepare my personal shuttle, and make sure our long-range communications array experiences a temporary malfunction that will delay any incoming transmissions for the next 24 hours. Torres raised an eyebrow but nodded. "Understood, Captain." An hour later, Cross entered the laboratory where Nora and Kythera were working. Both women looked up as she approached, their expressions wary. Over the past weeks, Cross had maintained a professional distance from the project, observing but never interfering. "I need to speak with both of you," Cross said without preamble. "Earth Command is sending a military extraction team. They'll be here by tomorrow evening." Nora went pale. "Extraction team?" "They want to separate you and take Kythera to Mars for study," Cross continued bluntly. "Based on what I've observed here, I don't think any of us want that to happen." Kythera's ethereal features hardened with determination. "They cannot cage starlight," she said simply. "My people have learned much about the nature of love from watching Nora and me together. We will not allow that knowledge to be corrupted by those who see only weapons where we have found healing." "Then you need to leave," Cross said. "Both of you, tonight." Nora shook her head frantically. "I can't abandon my research, my career, everything I've worked for. And I cannot abandon my people when they still need the healing frequencies." "We generate together," Kythera added. "The plague is contained but not eliminated. Without our continued work, it could return stronger than before." Cross had anticipated this response. What if there was another way? What if instead of running or hiding, you chose to stand and fight for what you've built here? She activated a holographic display that showed the current positions of ships throughout the system. The Seraphim vessel that brought Zephyr here is still in orbit. According to our scans, it's more advanced than anything in the human fleet. If your people were willing to make a show of force, to demonstrate that the Seraphim won't tolerate the kidnapping of their daughter. "You're asking us to threaten your own species," Kythera said softly. "I'm asking you to save both our species from making a terrible mistake," Cross replied. "If Earth Command succeeds in capturing you, it will start a war neither side can win. But if they see that humanity and Seraphim can work together as equals, as partners." Nora reached for Kythera's hand, and immediately the air around them began to shimmer with shared energy. "She's right," Nora said. "What we have here, what we've discovered together, it's bigger than just us. It's a new kind of diplomacy, a new way for different species to connect." Kythera closed her eyes and seemed to commune with some distant presence. When she opened them again, they blazed with starfire. "Zephyr says our council is willing to support whatever path I choose. The healing we've accomplished here has already saved millions of our people. They trust my judgment about how to proceed." Cross felt a weight settling on her shoulders. What she was about to propose would likely end her military career, might even be considered treason by some. But looking at Nora and Cathara, seeing the genuine love and partnership they had built across impossible odds, she knew it was the right thing to do. "Then here's what we're going to do," she said. "When the Retribution arrives tomorrow, they're going to find a fully integrated human seraphim research station under the protection of both fleets. Dr. Morrison has already agreed to present our findings to Earth Command as a joint scientific venture rather than a containment operation." "And if they order us to stand down?" Nora asked. Cross smiled grimly. "Then they'll discover that sometimes a captain's first loyalty is to the future rather than the past." The next 18 hours passed in a flurry of preparation. Zephyr's ship moved into a protective formation around the research station, while Cross worked to rally support among her own crew. To her surprise, many of the human personnel who had worked alongside the Seraphim were willing to stand with them. When the dreadnought Retribution arrived, bristling with weapons and demanding immediate surrender of all alien assets, they found something unprecedented waiting for them. "Retribution, this is Captain Cross of the Research Station New Harmony," Cross transmitted, using the name Nora and Cathara had chosen together. "Be advised that this facility operates under joint human seraphim authority as part of our ongoing diplomatic and scientific partnership." The response was immediate and furious. "Captain Cross, you are in violation of direct orders from Earth Command. Stand down immediately or face court-martial." Cross looked at Nora and Cathara, who stood together at the communications console, their joined hands glowing with soft starlight. Around them, human and seraphim researchers worked side by side, sharing knowledge and building bridges across the vast gulf between species. "Retribution," Cross replied, her voice steady and sure. "I am in compliance with my oath to protect humanity's future, and that future includes learning to love our neighbors among the stars." The standoff lasted for 6 tense hours, with Earth Command demanding surrender, and the Seraphim Council offering quiet but firm support for their daughter's chosen path. In the end, it was the research data itself that proved decisive. When the Dreadnought's science officers reviewed the healing frequencies that Nora and Cathara had developed together, when they saw the potential applications for human medicine and agriculture, when they realized the economic and strategic value of true partnership with the Seraphim, the orders from Earth began to change. "It seems," Dr. Morrison observed with a wry smile, "that love really can move mountains, or in this case, military fleets." Nora laughed, tears of joy streaming down her face as she embraced Cathara. Around them, the crystals sang with harmonious light, a visible symbol of what could be accomplished when two hearts chose understanding over fear. "So what happens now?" Nora asked, looking up at her alien love with eyes full of wonder. Cathara smiled, her ethereal beauty radiant with happiness. "Now we build something the galaxy has never seen before, a true partnership between our peoples, founded on love and sustained by hope." As the great ships of both fleets moved into cooperative formation around their little research station, as human and seraphim scientists began planning joint expeditions to heal other worlds ravaged by war and disease, Nora and Cathara stood together at the observation deck, watching the stars wheel overhead. They had started with one dying alien and one curious human in a crystal cave. They had built something that would change the course of galactic history. And at the heart of it all was the simple, revolutionary truth that love could indeed bridge any gap between species, between worlds, between the Earth and the infinite sea of stars. Their story was just beginning.